Well guys, here it is at last. Part 15. The finale of the second iteration of this series. And, well, it may not be as exciting as, say, what I did Lumini last year, but I'll still have something to say about these two. Now last year, I reviewed all 7 members of the original Can-Do crew, but I left Benny and Scrambler out for a reason I mentioned in that video. So I figured, might as well save them for a future video. And here we are over a year later, and we're reviewing them. These two guys are definitely some of the more interesting characters in the series, with Benny being introduced in arguably the worst movie in the original series, and Scrambler being introduced in the pilot for Project Build It. But just what do these two have in store? Well, we're about to find out. So, strap yourselves in for this final installment. Benny is very friendly and is eager to help out on jobs. He looks up to Scoop, getting most of his advice from him. Benny also gave Scoop the nickname of Big Banana, since he is big and yellow. Benny is a compact digger, just like Scratch, although the exact type of machine he's based on is unknown, as no digger in real life has this combination of features. Benny appears to be a hybrid between a skid steer and an excavator with an added rear backhoe arm. Scrambler is very energetic and is always on the go. He loves to off-road, but has to learn that rest is important. Scrambler can sometimes be mischievous and a little bit impatient, but always learns his lesson in the end. And that's about it. Now, in terms of their voice actors, like some of the previous characters we've covered in this series, we only have one for each of them. Emma Tate's for Benny, who is also a VA for the US dub but voices him in both English dubs, and Rupert Diggers for Scrambler, who would later go on to be a VA for Thomas, albeit for a few years until the Mattel buyout. Like some other characters with their VAs, Emma does a splendid job at bringing Benny to life. Even in Snow and Under she's still a joy to listen to, even if the writing in that movie didn't really help. And Rupert's Scrambler voice is an interesting take, as in both the UK and US dubs, despite being voiced by the same guy, Rupert voices Scrambler with 2 different voices in the 2 English dubs. In the UK dub, he speaks with a kid-sounding British accent, and in the US dub, he speaks with a New York accent. That's actually kinda cool, being honest. It's kinda like the whole James situation with Rob Rackstraw that I mentioned a while back. But it's safe to say that both of these guys do a fantastic job with their characters. Now, unlike the Can-Do Cruise episode, I was given no assistance whatsoever in terms of what the 2 standout moment in the series was. So I just had to go guns a-blazing on the wiki to remember what their best and worst moments were. Since, well, it's been a hot minute since I've seen this series in full. So for Benny, I'd say his standout moment in the series is Benny's important job. I don't know, keeping up with the other machines can be a bit of pain in the butt to deal with. Trust me, I've had struggles keeping up with something one way or the other. And in terms of his worst moment in the series, well, Benny's the only character out of the 7 machines to not be seen in Ready Steady Build, and was replaced by Scratch, for some reason. Well, other than the obvious. So, despite the fact that he was not in CGI, I'd say it's for the better, as he's free from the CGI-itis, as I like to call it. The same can't be said about Scrambler though, which we'll get to in a moment. Speaking of which, unlike Benny, it was pretty easy deciding what his standout moment was in the series from memory. And that's in the special, Scrambler to the Rescue. This was Zuma's reintroduction to the series, and what a way to come back. I love seeing these two banter a lot. And I love the moment when they put their differences aside. It's basically calling all engines, only unlike that where they just forget about what they had learned in the following seasons until, like, the previous seasons. The status quo change sticks, as Scrambler is never petty with Zuma following this special. But for Scrambler's worst, well, I think you all know what's coming. Scrambler Gets Clean is his worst episode in the series, and for one reason. Why on earth would Scrambler be scared of being washed? Isn't Mug supposed to be the one who's scared of that? To whoever thought that? Why? He's handled fine in the Golden Hammer episodes. Even that one. But his episodes outside of that were the definition of the team running out of ideas. I don't know, man. I'm kind of out of things to say about Ready Steady Build at this point. This'll probably be the final time you'll ever hear me talk about this mess. Benny and Scrambler are two very cool looking characters. And while they may not be up there with the main five, I still think they're great characters in their own right, to their designs, to their personas, to their voice actors. And while they may not be the best finale to this year's series, I can still very much appreciate these guys for what they are. But in case any of you aren't aware, we are slowly but surely making our way towards the end of Bob the Builder discussion on the channel. And next in line for the OG series is all of these. So, be on the lookout for that coming in the near future. And there we have it. That concludes this year's iteration of the Character Highlight Reel. And man, it has been a blast doing this series again. It's been painful to work on script and audio wise, but I still had a lot of fun. Especially when getting to cover 10 Thomas characters for 10 episodes straight. But I also had fun covering the non-Thomas characters in here as well. Let me know what your favorite character that I've covered in this series is. I'd love to know all your guys' personal preferences. And who knows, if these do well, maybe you guys would want to see a third part of this series next year. But we'll just have to wait and see. If you guys enjoyed this episode and this year's series as a whole, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and turn on post notifications to stay up to date and to not miss out on the newest content. Until the next video, bye guys!